Allora,
Okay, so welcome to this first Picture in Front. Picture in Front is a topic of BerlinExplorer. Then research about the picture made from different photographer. And today I'm with Ama. Ama is a photographer from Sweden and is based in Berlin from the last 5 years, and is photographer from the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So it's really fresh in this world, but in a way it's really interesting because he made so fast a vision of the world. And he started with architecture photography, and then later we talk about that. And slowly he came inside of the world of street photography and portrait photography, and also we talk about that. So then, yeah, welcome,
thank you, Emiliano.
and tell us first. I want to ask you. You come from Sweden. Did you born in Sweden? Or
No.
no? Yeah, it's where you come. Yeah, where are your origin?
So both of my parents are from the Philippines. Personally, I'm born in Libya, which is a country in North Africa. And then I grew up in Sweden from the age of 10 or 11. Yeah. And the reason I tell myself to people is that I'm Swedish because I completely immersed myself in the Swedish culture and I grew up in this culture. I'm so grateful for it. And it's part of my cultural identity now. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, for sure. You grew up there, so then you are, yeah, your culture is from there, and yeah, for sure you also mixed that. I think a bit of your culture with the culture of your parents. I think no.
Yes.
And yeah, a question. It's yeah. Usually I do, or people do to me. It's more easy. It's why you are in Berlin.
I think in during my time in Sweden, like I noticed that I am kind of living in some sort of bubble. Like okay, work 9 to 5, and then I do the same thing every weekend. And I thought I should burst myself out of this routine. And I've always been a firm believer that at least 2 years of your lifetime you should try to live abroad, whether that would be somewhere in the US or somewhere else in Europe. I chose Berlin because I had a musical connection to this city. I was a musician at a young age, and I signed with one of the electronic music labels here in Berlin. And I visited Berlin for the first time, I think 2012, where I got to meet the people behind the record label I was signed with, and with that I just fell in love with Berlin because I realized Berlin's the city for artists to explore themselves, and I thought I'm gonna take that chance and find and discover
Yeah, yeah,
creative.
yeah. For sure. It's kind of city stimulate a lot, and yeah, we can say in a way it's not Germany, and another it's so Germany. If we compare to other cities of Germany, but for sure, yeah, it's a city. I think also I found in many books from author from everywhere, and they was talking about Berlin already in the past 800. Like a city full immersion, full of brilliant mind, people, extrovert. Yeah, it's a city give you a lot of influence,
Yeah,
and that just to know how old are you? That I don't know that.
I am 34, 33 years old now.
Really? Yeah, you look like okay. So you look like 20. Yeah, so but this is the genetic of Asian guy and woman. Yeah,
Well,
but when you come from Asia, you see you're still 20 until you're 50.
yeah, perfect. I can.
Yeah, and I want to go to work on your picture and start this topic. Yeah, this is the first video meeting I do it about picture in front, and yeah, we explore a bit about. We have not really the structure of this program, so then we just keep it what is the state of mind of BerlinExplorer is to just feeling what we do and doing with passion. And then I think it's the best way to learn because, yeah, in my experience, I think I learned 200% more from people just told me them story during a coffee. And we have also coffee. And so now I share with you the screen, and I hope you can see it. And first, I want to start from your Instagram. Then we go through the picture you sent me.
Yeah.
So,
Are you sharing? Okay, there it is.
so Amasgram. So we start from the first, the main. Your Instagram is for sure full of picture and frames, and as we can see from different places in the world. And I want to know a bit more about your travel and when you started to travel and why, and you started with an idea or you just went there because you wanted to find something about yourself, and then you also started to make some picture. Tell me a bit about that.
Okay, this is let's scroll back a little bit.
Yeah.
Scroll down. Ah no, I mean down.
Up or down?
Down.
Okay. So we start from the base.
Let's travel back in time, huh?
Okay.
Travel.
So I try to go really down.
Okay, there. Stop. You see that taxi, red taxi over there?
Okay, so
there we go. The red taxi. This was taken in the December 31st, 2018. I took this photo. That's the night before that was the night I decided that I want to give photography a real chance. And then I woke up the next day and I met this other photographer back then, and we went out to go and shoot. We went to this to Hollywood Road in Hong Kong because it's a very photogenic street. And I captured this photo, and that's when I looked at this photo in retrospect, I realized I think I got a really great feeling from this photo, and I think I should continue. I should really give this a chance.
Yeah, that's nice. It's a nice capture for sure. Yeah, I'm really interested to how do you select your picture and how do you look at picture. I mean, are you kind of photographer just walk and so fast taking picture, or you just stop yourself somewhere and wait for the right moment to doing something?
Okay.
This is my
yeah, for sure. So when I came back to Berlin from Hong Kong and Taiwan, I decided I'm gonna just go out and shoot everything I can think of that is kind of cool. And so I went almost 5 times a week every morning on weekdays to just go and shoot various places in Berlin, and henceforth I can accumulate some skill, because back then I wasn't very well understood of how a camera works, and this is something I wanted to tackle. And the best way I could think of to tackle this is to take practical approach and just go out and shoot. And this process of selecting photos and etc. This was something I wanted to worry about later, and not then.
Yeah, sure.
So I just kept shooting and just posted randomly. and I really didn't care that much about how my selection process looks like. It wasn't until maybe 1 year later that I decided to that I became more aware of what I want to share.
Yeah. And
So
and just to know, did you have like a structure? Like, yeah, some photographer, they don't shoot if they don't have a camera, or you just, yeah, it's okay, everything is okay, I shoot with everything.
yeah, I back then I shoot everything.
Yeah.
Really, it's like quite the mess. It's very random and it's very mixed. So I didn't really care about what to shoot next. I just shoot what I see and what I thought.
I mean, you have this structure to shoot with the camera, or you use every kind of device. I mean, yeah, it's not important if it's analog, it's a phone, it's a toy camera, it's a digital camera, it's a mirrorless, it's a compact. It can be everything.
Yeah, I mean, to begin with, I shot strictly on my APS-C camera, and I just that's all I had back then. It was with analog. Analog is something I discovered on very more recently, actually late 2020 when
Yeah.
I started with
So
analog.
you
Started,
continue to analog
yeah,
picture, but you are, yeah. Also, you told me, yeah, this is, yeah, sorry if I just make confusion, but this is the first post you did, and this you did 221 week ago, and
yeah, yeah.
um,
I wasn't into photography back then.
and yeah, but in a way, I think, yeah, I mean, when someone became a photographer, I think, yeah, there is no time to become a photographer. I think in a way, we are, every one of us, photographer. Yeah, there are some discussion about that, because if you survive with photography, maybe you are a photographer, so professional photographer. If you don't earn money with photography, you are just an amateur. But yeah, come on, you can be a photographer in any way. I mean, actually, everyone has a device to make picture, and then every one of us in the world, I think 99.9% of people made the picture.
Yeah,
uh, if you don't come from I don't know, a place where you have only tree and nothing, yeah, so you made the picture.
yeah, yeah.
And just to
So
go a bit more inside of your work,
yeah, so
it's really full of content, your Instagram. So then all of this content for sure has a story, for sure has a walk, for sure has time you spent on. And this is my curiosity in especially in this project, where I saw a lot of picture every day, and I talk with a lot of photographer. It's after every walk, yeah, you go back at home with picture, but you go back also with some lesson of life.
yeah, it's really depends on the day. I think the biggest lessons you learn as you're out shooting is actually to stay patient in regards to what you want to shoot. Like in the beginning, as I explained, that I tend to shoot essentially anything in the beginning of my creative journey here as a photographer. But then with time, I become more selective as to what I want to shoot and where I want to shoot. And with that comes with some sort of expectation, right? Expectation to create something that is better than the previous, that is more aligned to my desire of creative expression. And sometimes you hit and sometimes you miss, and with that you learn that okay, you can't always uh, create something that is perfect, right? And
Yeah, depends. I don't know. For me, it's for sure. It's I'm a bit not against, but yeah, I'm the other side of the perfection. I mean, I search
Mhm.
always the grain, always the destroying the picture. So I mean, I search for the material of the picture, the plastic of the picture. So then I don't search for this perfection. But yeah, I can understand what you mean. And
This is where I want to go now, Emiliano. Like in the beginning, I strived a lot for some sort of aesthetic in my photos, and this is something I got through architecture photography. Architecture photography served two purposes for me. One is the practice of understanding my camera, and the second is actually getting this sense of aesthetic from a photo. But with time, I learn that sometimes you just have to let the environment describe itself, paint itself, so to speak. And my role in this is just to document this and be the canvas of the environment, which is why it made sense to actually move towards street photography later on. Because everything is just in movement and you cannot control what is happening. You can only shoot,
yeah, you
right?
can only shoot. Yeah, yes, depends. If you are not David LaChapelle, you can only shoot. But yeah, if you are David LaChapelle and or similar photographer, you can create your world. I mean, you can create your picture and with everything, paying every person walk in that street and decide when they have to stop in the street to walk and
Yeah.
where has to be the snow and everything. But yeah, for sure, when you don't have this idea first and also the possibilities to make that kind of cinematic picture, so then you are just someone who is working in the reality. So then you get from reality something. And from this sentence, I ask you something more because I had some discussion about that topic. And do you think photography is a tool to create, or is just a tool to analyze?
To analyze?
Yeah.
What do you mean by analyze?
To analyze in a way is a tool you need you use only to analyze, to research, so to watch through a reality, or you create something with the photography.
I think it's both, really, because what it really is for me, photography is just a tool for some sort for an expression, right? I believe I've always meant to work in the creative, like move within the creative space. So let's take, if we think about music, music is just a tool for a creative expression, right? It's just one channel. And late at that same time I made music, I also wrote poetry and short stories. These are also channels for creative expression. And photography, it is also just a tool for creative expression, if that answers your question. In terms of the analyze side of things, what is different with photography and music making from my experience is that, at least in the space of street photography, is that you're in this environment and there is movement around you, and you are in the middle of this environment, and you have to not select, but you choose. Your eye is drawn to something, and henceforth that is the reason to actually document that. And from there you can derive this idea, and you're expressing this idea of analyzing something.
Okay, so I get through the word you told me now, and I ask you, so what you think communicate, what you express with the picture you show us, what you
Mhm.
want to say.
To really answer that, we have to take a look at street photography, because the what you're browsing through now is architecture and urban
Yeah,
photography. This place
just
where I to
too
explore.
much in the past. Now I come back to the
What I
actually.
want, what I want to tell with street photography is essentially create a space. of the environment. So if we take a look at this, if you go back, right, go back to that photo.
To which photo? This one?
In the middle.
This one?
Yeah. So what I want to do with street photography is to actually paint a different picture of a specific environment. We associate Porto with their landmarks such as the bridge or the area Via de Gaia that is in south of Porto, and as well as the different churches that is scattered through across the city. However, there's a street here that is really offering a beautiful story of what that paints the story of the city for me, and this is worth documenting. Yes, and I express myself through the very meticulous composition here, and this is where I combine the side of analyzed, as you express it, and the side of creative expression. Yes, I analyze the city and I document it accordingly, just the specific street, and I compose it this way.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
And yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, it's for me. It's always interesting to know what people, what photograph and what artists in general, people create something or just work on something on research, what they want to say, because this is actually a period of the world where what we was talking about before, everyone has the opportunity to tell a story, and in many ways now we have really several tools to use our knowledge and to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I think this is what makes the differences between one person and another.
Yeah.
The story you tell, and the story you tell has the power to make your job, your work, your project the unique one.
Exactly.
This
So
is a question I do it often, because sometimes you can also meet people, they don't know what story they are telling you, and they don't know what they want to communicate. And from this question I ask you, so why you shoot photography? And not I don't know, you also write poetry, you also doing other stuff, but why you are focusing on photography?
As I mentioned before, photography is one of these tools of expression, right? And as I mentioned, I've been convinced a long time ago that I've always meant to move within a creative space. So I've tried music production that turned out really well. I tried poetry. I tried writing short stories. I even tried dancing and acting.
Okay.
And in the theater for a very short periods of time, but I tried it because all of these things that I tried is an opportunity to express something. I want to express myself, right? I want to project my ideas outwards to the world, and whether they accept it or not. In the same way, and the same idea can be applied on photography, that I have an opportunity to express myself to the pictures I take, because I am in Porto, in the Porto example. I can create a picture of Porto according to my expressive desires, right?
Yeah. I totally understand you. Many people can many people can tell you doing a lot of things is compared to doing nothing, but I don't think in that way. And totally understand you, because I'm art director, so I work with everything. And for me it's just, they are just tool and skill I can combine with everything in the end. It's not important if it's photography or what else. For me it's important what you share in the end, and not what kind of tools you use or which kind of technique you use. But sometimes it's I'm interested, and I do it this interview and I ask what kind of technique people use, because for me it's really interesting. That point, it's totally out of my point of view. I mean, I don't, yeah, it was a lot of technique, but I don't know the name of this technique. I learned from my experience and to, like you, trying. So then, yeah, I want to ask to other people, and I'm curious sometimes, and I laugh sometimes about, okay, there is really a technique with this name about this stuff. I do it so easy.
I completely, I'm on the same page as you because I mean, the technical aspect of photography, such as which tool and which ISO and or aperture you use and etc. This was interesting in the beginning of my journey because I knew very little of it. But this is also the reason why I shot so much. I was out shooting so much because I just want that to get over with. What I care about in the long term is how I express myself, and I think I'm reaching this point where I have a language through my photos.
I want to ask you some question now, going more inside of your picture, and yeah, some curiosities I have. First, when you get in touch with people, I mean, when you start to take picture like that, I think it's something you're organized with people, or you just take picture of people. I don't know. You stop people in the street and say, yeah, I can take you a picture, or yeah, I don't know how work that aspect of your process. Do you organize the meeting with that girl or man, or you just stop people in the street and say, yeah, I'm interested to you and I want to take a picture now?
Well, these photos that we're looking at here are portraitures, and this is in collaboration with, in this case, Kim and another photographer for a project that we want to shoot called AMAR. And all of my portraits are staged. I never take street portrait. I did that maybe a couple of times in Bangkok, but those are anomalies. Those are exceptions. I don't stop people and ask them for any permission to shoot them. It's not interesting for me.
Yeah. So you organize, and that's another. We come from another point. In my experience, yeah, I also did picture. Yeah, I did my first 6 years of photography, like glamour photographer. I did a naked picture, fashion, worked for advertising. So then I worked a lot with portrait and body and human. And yeah, I did, I think, I don't know, I shot more than 1,000 people in the studio. And yeah, for me was no, I was not able to work with people without talking with them. For me, it was so important to talk with them and to, I don't know, as this kind of intimacy. And there are some of them.
Interrupt. You get a headache when you scroll so fast. Scroll up and down.
Yeah, because I'm in the same time I'm searching now for the next step. In the my experience, I have this some several time. I was not able to take picture of some people because that people gave me something was over than picture. I mean, gave me some feeling over than to take a picture, and I was not in the position to say, okay, now I take a picture of you. I don't give a fuck if you're crying in front of me, or you are telling me a story bad about you.
I understand. Yeah, I mean, if I see someone on the street and I want to take a portrait of them, for sure I'll indulge and create this intimacy as you described. But when I'm out in the street, I care more about actually painting the environment that I'm in. If I travel to Kurfürstendamm today, I'm not doing that in search of someone's portraiture of from the street, and that's out of the equation for me for now. Yeah. For sure, I might run into that scenario where I want to try taking street portraits, but that's not interesting for now, and hence I can't really provide some insight on that. But I'll take this into mind, what you described.
I want to ask you also, how much time do you spend to post-product your picture? This is, yeah, I don't know. It's a general question because I can say I see some post-production, but I don't think in many pictures there is a lot of post-production. I think it's just sometimes a light and color.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a curiosity. It's in some picture you post-product a lot. You like to work a lot with the post-production, or yeah, tell me a bit about that.
For street photography, rare. I don't manipulate that much at all. Like I don't spend that much time in post production in terms of street photography. However, we can establish that night photography are much harder to work with because it's such low light. And this is where I have to spend a bit more time and carefully select of which light I want to enhance and whatnot, and which light I want to focus on. That's where I want the eye to draw, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It really depends. For some photos, they're perfect out of camera. I just have to correct a bit of the exposure, but some others require a bit more work. It really depends.
And what do you think about you missed? What you miss in your shoot? I mean, there is something you would like to have or to do. I mean, sometimes, like I watch a picture of other people and I feel like, okay, this is something I really love, but I
Mhm.
feel myself not able to do it. There is something like that.
If something that I'm not able to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you also watch picture of other people and then you feel like, wow, this light is so cool, this portrait is so cool, or that frame is so cool, and but why I would like to doing something like that, but I don't know, I don't get it. I feel don't able to do it that.
Oh, I mean, of course, there has been photos that I've discovered where I'll definitely question like how did they do that. Um, but I don't really think that deep into it, but rather what my mindset towards that is that I found something really interesting that I haven't thought of before, and I'd love to give this a try. And there's no more to it really. Uh, if it's, however, like a studio stage photography, that's a very different discussion because it's a stage scenario and you can take your time in replicating that photo. However, for street, that's rarely the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to really answer you, I don't spend that much time in really overthinking how someone has created a scenario in terms of street photography at all, but rather there are some scenarios that are actually staged that could be interesting to explore.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. I don't spend too a lot of time to think about it, but yeah, as I'm a editor, so then as I watch billion of picture per month and
Mhm.
billion of photographer, and yeah, many times I watch some picture and I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's automatic, it's unconscious what I feel about, yeah, it's something I cannot create by myself because it's something it's not myself, you know.
It's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah, yeah, I can feel a bit more close to your picture in a way, and it's something I do it. And yeah, for sure we have similar eyes and vision. Some stuff you do it, it's really long away from me, but some other stuff really close to me, and that stuff is long away to me. Now in this moment, I cannot, but maybe in the future, yes. Maybe in the past, yes.
Yeah,
That's what I meant before.
yeah.
And I want to jump now to Project Northern Wolf,
Yeah.
and it's I don't want I don't want to offend you that way, but yeah, this is something I'm much more interested in, because I see how do you select and how do you think 2000 more on what you publish here than what you publish there.
Yeah.
And I feel much more you are in this story, and not, yeah, I know now about the project, but you are much more in this story than the other story. I mean, in the other story, in Amazgram, you are the voyeur, as we want to use this word. Then you are exploring the city, be there, you are in the city. So you are not the story, you are the story, but in the same time, other people are the story, the city is the story, the color are the story. Here, I feel much more you are the story. First, because the selection is really on the base. I mean, on the point, restricted,
Yes.
and second, because the way to shoot that picture is focused on something you have in your mind. I mean, or maybe you have inside of your heart.
Mhm.
Maybe this the is best words inside of your heart.
Yes.
And yeah, I want you introduce us a bit about this project Northern Wolf.
Yes. Understood. So when if we take a look at my family history, as I described at the beginning, when I introduced myself, is that my family comes from the Philippines. I personally come from Libya, but I grew up in Sweden, right?
Yeah.
This is painting the picture that my family history is a group of wanderers. Every member of my family is a group of wanderers. They're scattered across the world, right? And if we take a look at the wolf as the predator, they are going through the same life journey. Yes, they are born in one region, they wander to the next, and they through this they go through a lot of hardships and of survival or triumphs. And I can really resonate to this. Um, I can see if I look at a wolf's life journey, I can totally resonate to the predator, and I can totally resonate with the pup of wolf because the life journey of a wolf is very similar to my family's history, and therefore I use this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe they're fantastic creatures and they're so overlooked. They're looked as these predators and something that are of danger and a threat. Yeah. And but it's not the case if you look deep into them. And with Project Northern Wolf, I want to tell that kind of story that my childhood was a bit rough and I've gone through some hardships and triumphs, and this project is authored to celebrate those hardships and triumphs. That now I am in this point where I found a clear tool, a useful tool for of expression, and I can tell my story. And this is where I came up with the idea of Project Northern Wolf. So this is why I am
Yeah.
in the phone here.
Yeah,
And
that's cool. That's cool.
yeah, and
And I'm looking forward to see more picture about that project, because yeah, I
yeah,
think yeah, I'm waiting for that, because for sure, yeah, I'm interested to first to see how the story go on, and also what did you see, what did you felt
yeah,
during this research of your self, in a way. And
exactly.
yeah, I don't know why, but that this 1, 2, 3, 4 picture jump inside of my mind, and they remember me too much about this book I have read 2 years ago of Herlin Kagge, if I spell good, and this name Silence. And that book, yeah, it's really simple written,
Yeah.
but really deep in what he say
Yeah.
and about silence. And he tell in this book a lot of experience he had with silence.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but now I'm linked this picture you did to the book of him, to the words I've read about him, and in a way I feel like, yeah, the picture are perfect to describe what he was feeling.
Mm.
And yeah, that's the question I want to do it is how was the feeling you had and the experience you had with the silence in this northern country?
In terms of silence, so if it's, I'm not sure I fully understand the question, honestly, Emiliano. You,
I try to make it more clear. I mean, um, for sure, yeah, when you live in that kind of country and that kind of situation, if you don't move with a car, it's, or yeah, there are two stuff: or you stay always in the same village, or you you have a car, because I think by feet is not really easy to go from a city to another. And then also with this extremely cold, I think is not like Catania in Sicily, you know, it's people every day meet. Yeah, I come from Naples, so I know it's similar to Sicily. And so then I think is the opposite, that people are much more in themselves life. So then for sure there is a lot of silence around. And my question is, how was this silence? Was a bad experience, so like a trauma of for your life, or was something you grew it in, and then now it's this word is the weapon of your identity?
yeah, I now I understand what you mean. So what we're describing here in terms of silence is that silence is a result of solitude, yeah, of being alone. Yes.
Yeah,
And if we take a look at my history, I was in this scenario where I grew up in northern Sweden. It's a really tiny town, really tiny. It's far from Napoli. Yes,
yeah,
it's just totally different from Napoli. It's tiny, it is quiet, it's calm, and there isn't much going on. And there I am as this exotic little boy in northern Sweden. Yeah,
yeah,
the and I felt I was lucky to be surrounded by fantastic friends who helped me navigate through this cultural clash, because it's northern Sweden is so different from where I come from back then. Yes, they helped me navigate through this through this cultural difference. I'm so grateful for this. And but despite that, I still felt at that time that I was a bit lost because of this. There's this cultural clash, and hence there's this sense of solitude. Yeah, that despite I'm surrounded with these people, there's my thoughts and my sense of identity is stuck and was stuck in Libya, right? And this is what I want to paint with these selective photos.
yeah.
Does that answer your question?
I think, yeah, I will keep in that, and I will, yeah, I will wait for the continue also, because, yeah. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
part one.
maybe we will do it a publication together about that. I'm
Oh,
interested a lot about. Yeah, I want to see what's the next. I want yeah, for sure go in this cruel, I don't know if I used the right word, cruel, but in the positive way. I mean, like it's something you keep on the face. There is
mhm.
not a lot of details, there is not a lot of information, but in the same time there is a lot of information.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe really this feeling, but yeah, I have a good feeling about.
You're not done well.
Then we go now to the last Instagram, and then we go to do it the continue on the picture you sent me. So what is I am Bobby Noir.
Um, so lately, like the longer I've been involved in creating photography, the more I explore different ideas of how to express myself. Right, as I described, it's a tool for expression. And I also rediscovered my passion for storytelling, and I rediscovered my passion for writing poetry again, and etc. And Bobby is this figure where I try to incorporate both storytelling, poetry, and character development into photography. And henceforth, I created Bobby.
That's a question. Are you Bobby? I cannot
Yes,
see.
I
Okay.
am.
That is interesting because in a way I feel like yeah, that's really interesting. You are the actor of your picture,
Yes,
um,
I'm the
and
main story.
for me it's really interesting that vision. It's and remember me a lot of Cindy Sherman. Um, I don't know, as you know, Cindy Sherman, yeah, it's a really famous photographer because of her acting in the picture, and she recreated that figure from movies and stories, and yeah, in a way, it's something really far away from me. Really
Yeah.
far away from me. It's not so. Yeah, it's really difficult for me to act in my picture, and it's really difficult for me to make a self-portrait image and to act in the picture. But yeah, I worked directly for 5 years in a project. It's my first long project, more than 5 years, and it's named Walking. And I tried to go deep, really deep in my story, and to go back to my roots, go back to who I am for real.
Yeah.
And so I understand in a way that mode to get in touch with the part of yourself, because I don't know if I think in a good way, but I think Bobby is just a part of you. And
Yes.
so then
Bobby is a result of bringing forth the other side of me, the author in me, right? The one who pretends to, the one who can write and needs to express that in some way. And I know photography, so I will help this other side of myself to come forward. And
really curious to know, sorry, if I'm really curious this, to know if you are working on a video about that.
it is under discussion. So the designated photographer for this, for Bobby, is his name is AMAR. He's also a photographer I worked with. Well, he's the one who I shot Kim with.
Yeah.
What I showed you earlier. We started with that small series of shooting My Name Is project, and from there, um, I decided like seems to make sense to me to select him to help bring Bobby forth and shoot Bobby.
Okay. I
So
want ask you something, then we pass to the folder.
okay.
Tell me, yeah, by one, and we go to watch. 3 photographer on Instagram we can talk about now.
Oh, putting me on the spot. Three photographers I can talk about right now.
Do you follow on Instagram and you like, and yeah, we can keep here and talk about.
For sure. We have to start with Josh K. Jack.
Josh
K. Jack.
K.
There we go.
Jack, yeah. So,
This is uh, Joshua is like a photographer based in London, and he's pretty well known in the street photography world. But why he's the first that pops into my mind is that Joshua, for me, he he tells a um, very interesting story about his city that is normally not something I associate London with. Like if I think of London, I think about the red buses and the various landmarks and etc. and umbrellas because of the weather. But Joshua painted this different picture of London. That this this side of London that is a bit overlooked beyond what we associate London with. And
and
this,
this is, well, really cool. You let me discover this because I was in London and I
Mhm.
never saw someone like him describe London in the way I saw London.
Yeah, there you go. So your prime evidence that what Joshua is doing is painting this picture of London. That even being in London, you're not fully aware of what is going on around you. And that's why I really like his work.
That's really, 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 really interesting. It's really something I never saw about London. I mean, it's um, uh, it's a way to express totally full in the city, and the city is real. It's not like the London everyone to want sell us this London rich, this London fashion, this London. This London as a city is a city full of life, full of intimacy, full of stories, and yeah, I really, I'm really thankful to you to tell me that name.
Yeah.
So, second name,
Second name, we have to travel to Thailand, and his name is Blow It Hand.
Blow
It Hand.
it.
IT. There we go.
Okay.
Um,
K tree trunk, tree
yeah,
trunk. Okay.
I yeah. So I think I'm very attracted to his photos because he has a very unique perspective of the when in terms of his photograph. He offers an interesting perspective and interesting layout and composition of how to paint urban photography. Although it's a bit different from what I shoot, this is uh, this is an account I look at in terms of like looking into how to describe or how to paint certain colors to express a certain vibe of the environment.
That's really
And
interesting.
think this is there's a lot to learn from from um, from tree trunk. So yeah,
And for
that's why.
sure, so as a kind of picture, a kind of cities, kind of places, for sure we are not used to see. I mean, I never saw something like that.
Yeah, it's
And it's something totally away from our European culture,
yeah,
our perspective of life.
yeah, definitely. So I find this really cool.
Yeah, it's
Just
really
really
cool.
cool.
Third name,
Third name, we have to look at a local creative in Berlin. The one I think is really interesting and he's overlooked. His name is, I don't remember, what was his name on Instagram? Let me look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Nobi.Romero. Nobi with double B.
Ah, Nobby Romero. I had an interview with Nobby Romero and yeah, Norberto. Yeah, I just keep the interview of him some days ago in the on Berlin Explorer for this month.
Okay.
So you will read also something about him, and I hope he will join in the also this kind of meeting, because it will be really really interesting to know also what is him selection and what you think about. And I hope he watch this video and know about what you think about him. So then it's your turn to tell us what you think about him.
Be careful though. So the reason I think of Nobby, if I'm like Norberto, when I think of interesting street photographers from Berlin, is that although he shoots at locations that are very familiar and seen through, he offers a very interesting perspective of the location, and from there I can actually derive a story based on his selection and based on his composition. I he has this thing now going on that started recently, where he wants to shoot around a bridge that is pretty close from where he's based, and that one offers a very interesting and a very fresh perspective of Berlin that I'm not super familiar with, and I would love to see more of that. And I think his composition is interesting, his timing is interesting, and I really look forward to see more of what he can offer in terms of telling the story of Berlin.
Yeah, will be nice for sure. And then yeah, I will also tell him if he cannot see that part we talk about him. But yeah, I will ask to him to show us how he select the picture, because I'm really interested to know what kind of picture he keep and what he just let be in the him archive. And
Yeah,
just to know also what is the feeling of the selection he has, what kind of picture he choose and why he choose that kind of picture and not other one. Usually in my work I'm used to know it's most of the photographer in general, they select some picture but they don't see the beauty of other picture. And most of the time I see really great work in what everyone don't see anything.
yeah. So Nobi, he has this potential to create a very special vibe around Berlin that even I sometimes can struggle with, and I hope to learn from him.
Yeah, for sure he can learn from you and you can learn from him,
Yeah,
and everyone can learn from everyone. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's only to keep in your mind and to remember the name of him. It's already you learned something. So then yeah, in a way touched you that.
yeah,
And this is also a really nice picture about Hamburg.
yeah,
That's something not usual. And yeah, I remember me a lot this suggestion from this cafe in New York or in Texas. I don't know. Remember that feeling of people in the cafe.
yeah. The diner.
Okay, so I stopped to share the screen because I was sharing with you the internet. So now I go to the last part. And is this one, and here. we go. So we go first to publish it, just to keep the selection you show us of published. So then here you selected some of picture you have also on Instagram, but I'm really interested to do it that ulteriorly show about the picture published, because here I have a really short selection. That means you care about that picture. And then we start from this picture, and I want you to tell me something about that picture.
So this was taken on my first night in Bangkok. I arrived in Bangkok. It was super hot, and I was really tired. And I actually just wanted to go out, and the first thing that came to my mind is Chinatown. And I took the tuk-tuk all the way there from my hostel. And I walked around and just really immersed myself into the vibe of the city and the movement of the area. And I saw this lady here just taking a break from her work, and when she sat there and just um, when she sat there in stillness and really didn't mind that much about what is going on around her, this created for me, this really appealed to me to actually create something and to actually document that very moment where she didn't really care that much about what's going on, while I was there really fascinated by how much movement there was in Chinatown. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. It's interesting for me also because I would like to visit that country, and yeah, but yeah, I started the travel 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yeah, and then yeah, in end of January I was in London, and after London, I was going to take a train in Moscow to go in.
Oh,
Directly then to China, so to Mongol, China, and to Vietnam then. And yeah, I wanted to visit that Asia part of the world. But then, yeah, started the coronavirus and everything started to close. And yeah, it was so funny because no one was listening at me about this virus, because no one knows about, because no one was talking in Europe about that virus. And I was watching that journal, that newspaper of from China, and yeah, the only things we know about coronavirus was people just walking to the city, bomb down, died. That's that was really scared. So then we go through the virus. Yeah, for sure, it's scared in a way, but not scared like was the first impression. The first impression was like, okay, if I get the virus, I die from a day to another without knowing everything. Was
speaking
so
of coronavirus, this brings us to our next photo.
yeah.
This photo was taken on my last day in Singapore, and it was in the first week of January 2020. And I selected this picture because it is not street photography. It's not strictly urban photography either. It's geometric street photography is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And what makes this photo special is that I was standing at the 40th floor of a building.
Yeah. Okay.
I felt like a sniper looking down to this area, and I saw a shadow lingering around, and I anticipated that this little boy will walk into the light, and that's the time I take my shot. and take my shot, as in like I really felt like a sniper here.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Yeah, and remember me a lot of this feeling about I always had this dream to buy this telescope to take picture from my balcony to the end of the city, you know. And yeah, it's like yeah, this is one of my dream to spend some months doing that picture first to focus, because yeah, you have first to find a place without building, and then you go through inside of the, yeah, it's really interesting. So then
In
we go to
case,
this one.
wait, I'm not finished telling the
Okay, okay,
story.
okay, sorry.
So in this case, I think I like this photo is just that the line that the kid was in really aligns with the white colors of the building. And this was the last day, my last day in Singapore. Then I came back to Berlin 1 week later. I heard about the first case of corona in Singapore, which
Oh,
is really scary.
yeah, you went away in the right time.
Yeah, yeah.
But as you know, it's I have really I traveled a lot in the period from the end of January until middle of March,
Mhm.
and I had some friends had the virus. Some friends worked in the hospital, but I never got a coronavirus.
Yeah. Okay.
Never got coronavirus. So then, I mean, uh, when I listen at the news, and you see there are these cases, always more cases, and I think, okay, but if there are more cases, why I don't know anything about these cases? I mean, I know a lot of people then, but just 3, 4 of them they had coronavirus, and more than 50 they work in the hospital and never got coronavirus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, we go next to that picture.
Oh, this is also Bangkok, Thailand. It was really dark. I mean, it was night, so it was really dark. But then I traveled to Siam, which is a small shopping district in Bangkok, and I saw this building. It was completely lit up in blue.
Yeah,
Well, really cool for me. And I saw someone walking down the stairs, and I felt okay, this can make a really interesting composition of someone minding minding their own business, as if this isn't really interesting for them, but for me this is completely mind blowing. Having a watching a building completely lit up like this, and that kind of tells the story of how far ahead the city of Bangkok is from the environment I'm living in. This is to me very futuristic. For this character I photograph, it's just another building, and that's what attracted me to take this composition. That's
yeah,
the
for
story.
sure. It's really impressive. It's really surreal.
For sure.
Yeah, I won't keep on. Yeah, that's something remind me something I know.
Yeah, something you know. Yeah, so Catania, Catania is like so beautiful in the sense that it's a very colorful city, right? It's a very gritty too, as in like it's very, you have these dirty buildings, and yet they're so colorful and beautiful. And I was just walking around, and I saw this street that is completely full of colors on one side, and on the other side is dark from the shadows, and this shadows casting on the street, because from here the west is on the right side, so that's when it was sunset, and the sun was radiating its light towards these buildings on the left, and there's this flag going on that completely was standing out in this scenario. It's an amazing flag.
I want to ask you, how was to be there? I mean, I mean, not only in the photography way, but I mean, how did you talk with someone, and then did you find someone speak English? This is my question, because yeah, most of the time when I was in Naples, also just coming back to Naples, for me was really difficult to be with people out there and to translate everything about people who was with me.
Uh, okay, how it was to experience Catania, given the language barrier. Yeah, I mean, it has its challenge, but the same challenge is something I experienced in Hanoi and Bangkok. But in terms of Catania itself, it's not really a big deal. I can still order coffee and food, and not really. I don't really need to ask for directions at all. It was completely fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
there
So
was no translating.
I want to go now, keep other picture and publish it, and just we was talking about Catania, and yeah, another question I want to to ask is, had you problem with the people there during you was shooting picture?
Uh, Wait, this is not Catania. This is Venice.
This is Venice, but you put me in Catania, but it's okay. Is Italy? We can put the tag Italy.
um, yeah. Uh, I think Italy was the first time, especially in some areas in Catania. That's when I felt a bit uncomfortable because people are not really happy to see a photographer shooting around randomly, right? I noticed that. In Catania, however, like Catania was the first time I experienced this, but only in some cases. Uh, like in this, if we take a look at the first photo there, this first photo is inside a market hall. That's a fish market.
Yeah.
People just mind business. Some of them were uncomfortable with me photographing, but but in that scenario, just give them some eye contact and be friendly, and make sure, assure them that you just have good intentions, and this is really fine with it.
Uh, but yeah, it's what I feel. This is, I don't know, really cool for me to watch at a picture of someone else from South Italy, because I can recognize much more that kind of face. Signed, because yeah, this is a reality, and it's what I saw in most of the years of my life. That kind of faces, cruel, always signed, traumatized from a kind of life is hard in a way. I mean, it's cultural, but yeah, also the woman, they have this expression always like this, you know. Also when they smile, I mean, I feel a lot more about something I always had in front of me. Then I want to go in Palermo. I want to just watch that picture, but I want to
Yeah, but I can
keep
tell you, but I,
something.
but I can tell you that in Palermo it was the place where I was very uncomfortable because have you been to Palermo?
Yeah, sure.
There's an area called Biaro, if you
Yeah,
remember.
I know.
Biaro, Biaro is this marketplace, and a marketplace is perfect for street photography playground, right? And so my first night, I went there to shoot, and that was
First night.
that was really uncomfortable because I learned the hard way that Biaro is a nice place for gangsters to hang around. Not gangsters, but like a
The
local gang.
mafia, yeah. There is mafia there, and especially in the place you are talking about, this mini gang they call a baby gang, and yeah,
Yes,
you can risk not only to lose your camera, but you can risk also to be kicked.
and that was the risk I noticed I was facing when I was in Biaro. Um, I was in Biaro. I was shooting this guy. I posted the photo on Instagram. I was shooting this guy, um, and I heard people, like, I was listening to music as I was photographing around in Biaro, right?
Okay.
The background, like, some people were yelling at my direction, and I look at their way and I realized they're actually shouting at me. And I realized, okay, this is a group of people, and
Yeah.
they don't have my, yeah, yeah, they had a very special look at me that made me very uncomfortable. But yeah, just leave it.
Just I keep the last folder about Lisbon, and
Yeah.
so and yeah,
What do you
that
want?
way I won't keep on. Yeah, it's interesting. These things about Lisbon. It's so close to the Sicily structure, and also Italian in general. Italian. It's really similar to, for me, to Bologna. This way, it's really close between Bologna and some part of Naples. Uh, and I want to know a bit more about that picture.
You want to know about this picture?
Yeah, why you selected in a way? Yeah, you it's in the folder unselected, unpublished, but you selected. Why you selected that picture?
Yeah. Why I selected this picture? Because I've been describing so far about movement, right? That's this part of street photography. Movement is important for my photographs. And here in this scenario, I was walking towards Torre de Belém, which is on the west side of the city. And there, near Torre de Belém, there's tons of movement because people were out. They were out with their kids. They were playing around, playing ball, and there's picnic going on, and etc. So much life, right? So much life in this park. So much movement. Then I look upwards, and we don't associate the sky with movement that much. I look upwards and I see this line, and I'm thinking to myself, that moment, there is movement up there, and I like this composition and this tray of line that this plane left behind is a manifestation of movement, and this is worth taking the shot.
Interesting.
And everyone else around me in that park didn't really bother that much about that movement going on up there.
So cool. So I thank you for this interesting conversation about your picture.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And yeah, I hope to have also other I had a look of the survey I sent you, and yeah, for sure we will work about other project together. And then I hope, yeah, also in a good time to meet you in Berlin and to collaborate in some shoot around Berlin. And I hope you a nice weekend.
You too, Emiliano. Thank you for having
Thank you also for the support you give us on Patreon. It's really appreciated for me. And yeah, that's it. So have a good weekend, and
Talk to you soon.
thank you a lot.
Ciao.
Ciao.